I don't blame you. Page 34. So I'm gonna say that B and C, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna post a key to those. So if you want to find the interior, exterior, all of those, if you want to practice that a bit more, obviously if it's a diagram, just make sure you count, and remember, check mark where you start counting, and don't double count, right, your number of sides. So B and C, I'm just gonna leave that up to you. Let's go to the bottom of 34, where it starts getting, I'm basically gonna see, do you know what angle am I asking you for? Okay. So calculate the value of the indicated angle. So A, B, and C. Let's start with A. Do we recognize what angle it's asking me for? It's asking for an interior angle, all right? So we start with counting the number of sides. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? That is probably number one, rule number one, find the number of sides. And so let's figure out angle A. Angle A is going to be found by using this formula right here. Yes, some is going to be repeat from yesterday, but I'm going to expose you to new concepts here. And you got to be careful when you type this into your calculator. Maybe don't rush, because that's when things go sideways, right? So A is going to be 156 degrees. We don't have a name for this one. So there it is. We found angle A. Interior angle. Okay, if you want to make a note, I found the interior angle. Let's find C next here. In no particular order, by the way, but what's C? C is an exterior angle, so you could go 360 divided by N. C is 360 divided by 15. C is 24, right? 24 degrees. And I make a note, do these add up to 180, right? That's what I expect, my interior and exterior, because technically you could bring A right here as well. I just label them in different parts, right? But there you go, that's good. What about angle B? I'll just make a note, this is an exterior angle. B is what? Look carefully. How many sides does it span? Yeah. So we'll say right away it's 2 times a central angle, correct? Does that make sense? Because I'm going to use a different color, because technically B can be sliced up like this. So there's a central there and there's a central there. 2 central angles. So I will first find a central angle, so that's just 360 divided by 15, and we know that exterior and central are the same when they're what's the word I'm going to use? When they're regular, then they're the same. So now we're going to go angle B is 2 times 24. So that's 48 degrees. There you go, angle B. We don't have a name for it, to be honest. Like B is just an angle in this case. We cannot say it's the central angle, but we can say it's 48 because we recognize, how did we even come about central angle? We recognize that this is the center, right? And so that's why, oh, central angle must be part of this operation. All right? So that's what I'm going to start doing more and more. I'll tell you what else is going to happen. There's going to be triangles that are going to poke out of this thing. But remember, there's an exterior angle there, and if you were to bring it this way, there's also an exterior angle there, right? So you're going to see that. But remember, you know a lot. You know how to get stuff out of that. Let's go to 36. This is what I call backwards. Working backwards. I think that a lot of you maybe need to have this on your study sheets. I'm not so sure, but you will see after we do these whether or not you need that. But it's basically algebra, right? A lot of it. Sum of the interior angles is 3060. Determine the number of sides. So they're asking you, what is n? You don't have a diagram, right? You can't just figure it out like that. So we start with this formula. Sum is n minus 2 times 180 degrees. The sum is given to us, this one. That's usually what we calculate. In this case, we know what it is. So we substitute that in. 3060 is equal to n minus 2 times 180. Now, I tell students mostly, there is not just one way of doing it, but there is ways that make it easier on you. Okay? I want n on its own, so what I'm going to do is slowly undo what's around n. I'm going to tackle the 180 first. So I will divide both sides by 180 degrees. Because maybe some of you looked at it, it's like, well, maybe I'll just multiply the 180 into that bracket, right? That's the first thing that some of us think about. I would say don't do it. It's going to make it harder for you. And on this side, that's where all the math happens, on the left side. So 3060 divided by 180, that's 17. And now that you've gotten rid of the 180, you don't need the brackets anymore. You don't need the brackets around n minus 2. So now we're going to go plus 2, right? And n is equal to 19. There you go. So this one is probably not as difficult as some other ones. The uglier the formula, the harder it's going to be for you to find it. Okay? But it's all within reason. I'm going to skip this one. Let's go to C. I'm just mindful of my time here. C is the harder one. A regular polygon has an interior angle of 171. Calculate the number of sides algebraically. There are two methods here, but it's asking you, what's n? What's n? If it's interior angle, what formula am I going to use? This one, right? And this is where it gets complicated. It's because of this part right here. The divided by n is going to make it a little bit more challenging. But I know this part, right? I'm going to plug in the 171 into the left side. And what should I do first here? If there's something dividing, I would get rid of that first. So what should I do? I take this whole side, multiply it by n, and I take the whole other side, multiply it by n as well. And on the right side, it's always cancel, 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 right? Most of the time, it's just like things are canceling out. So on this side, you're left with 171 what? N, yeah. And on this side, it's n minus 2 times 180. And I don't know if you remember from the first question, I would get rid of the 180 earlier, right? That's normally what I would have done. But because there is an n term on this side, it's going to actually make it messy. Okay? So I'm going to distribute this. And I'm going to get an n term here, and then I'm going to combine like terms. Okay? So 171n. So 180 times n is 180n. 180 times minus 2 or negative 2 is negative 360. And I will bring the n over to the left side. So 171n minus, as soon as it crosses, it's minus 180. And I'm left with negative 360 because the 360 stays on the right side of the equal sign. What's 171n minus 180n? Negative 9n, right? And now I divide both sides by negative 9. That's my last move here. So this negative divided by negative is going to be positive. 360 divided by 9 is 40. So you found out that this particular polygon has 40 sides. Or, I like this method way more. If the interior angle is 171, what's the exterior angle? Exterior is 180 minus 171. And what is that? 9 degrees, correct? What's the formula for exterior angle? It's 360 over n. Isn't it a lot easier? It's not as messy. So I'm going to put the 9 in here. So this is, can I just say this for you? This is for you. This will be step number 1. If I have my interior angle, I'll get the exterior real quick, just like that. Honestly, this is overkill. You could probably just do the 2 lines. Then you go 9 degrees is equal to 360 degrees over n. What does this remind you of? Cross multiply and divide. Right? Why are you whispering? You just put a 1 under there. So you're going to go 360 times 1, which is 360, and then you're going to divide it by 9. So n is going to be 360 times 1. Don't bother typing that in. You know it's 360. But if you go 360 divided by 9, you're going to get the same as the other method that I used before. You're still going to get 40 regardless. Okay? So it's, to me, this is just, you got to break it down into 2 steps. First, you get the exterior. You're basically turning this into an exterior angle question. And then you use the formula for exterior angle to figure out your number of sides. I'm not going to force you to use one or the other. You pick which one you prefer. If you like the whole distributing and whatnot, you go for it. You're going to be fine. So this is backwards. You're going to practice. I'm going to ask you to practice this for tomorrow. I think I'm going to stop here. And I'm going to send you to, these are fairly newer pages here that I've added. So I'm going to say pages 37. Let me just check once. Let's go 37 to 38. You got to practice. Let me just make sure you have a backwards in there. I think, yes. Write the first question actually on 37. It's backwards. If you want another practice real quick on backwards, do this one as well. Okay? And come with questions tomorrow if you have them. Okay? If you want